Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Good afternoon. My name is Ian Leslie and I'm Director of Retail Advocacy here at Bolt. I'd like to welcome you to today's ThinkShop by Bolt Masterclass. As always, our ThinkShop series is focused on bringing experts across e-commerce together to discuss a variety of topics, allowing you to leave with actionable takeaways as you look to optimize your e-commerce business. Today we'll hear from online subscription service Ordergroove and Door County Coffee and Tea, a world-class coffee roaster specializing in gourmet flavored coffee and premium blends. Websites that offer subscription services, particularly consumer packaged goods or CPG brands, are having moments that's been magnified by COVID. Over Cyber Week 2021, Ordergroove showed a 37% increase in subscription enrollment year over year, up from a 17% increase 2020 over 2019. Meanwhile, Door County Coffee and Tea, a small family-owned business that expanded into e-commerce years ago, started working with Ordergroove in Q3 2021 and has grown their subscription base by more than 60% in 6 months. So we're looking forward to, excuse me, a really interesting session here. And from here, I'll let the speakers introduce themselves and take it away from here. Erin, would you like to start?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you Ian and Kyle for the opportunity to chat a little here. Nothing better than chatting e-commerce. But first a little bit about myself. I am the director here at Door County Coffee and Tea Company, overseeing all things e-commerce. And a little background on who we are. We are a coffee roaster located in Wisconsin, very close to Green Bay, but in a beautiful peninsula called Door County. Very similar, they call it the Cape Cod of the Midwest. So very popular tourist destination that's very seasonal, and our online business allows us to bring that coffee to everyone, across the country when we're not in season.
So. Great. I'm Kyle Beldoch. I'm a strategic client director at Ordergroove. I've been with Ordergroove since January of 2020, and I work with some of our largest D2C merchants, helping them strategize and merchandise their subscription programs so that ultimately they can go from a transactional business to a subscription first business. Ordergroove sits at the middle of that, not only working with subscriptions, but also relationship commerce as a whole. How do we convert your consumers from one-time purchasers into repeat purchasers and ultimately building a one-to-one relationship with each and every one of those consumers? Great. So before we dive in today, I think a little bit of background on Door County would be great. So yeah. Erin, how did Door County get started?
So I talked a little bit about us as a tourist destination, and so essentially our current CEO and founder, she used to visit here on the weekends, come to the area, and one Sunday afternoon they were leaving and really just wanted to find a way to make Door County a home for her family. Had read a story in a publication about another coffee roaster starting up. And this was, obviously this was almost 30 years ago, so long before Google. Actually, she went to the library, looked in the phone book up for Door County Coffee and Tea, didn't find anything, and trademarked the name right away. Left her job in the corporate world with one other partner at that time and started a coffee roasting business all on her own. Fortunately, to support her husband, he was a plant engineer for Procter & Gamble, brought that manufacturing side. She brought the sales side, and now 30 years later, we have over 50 employees.
Wow, that's a great story. Yeah. What type of products do you guys sell? Obviously coffee and tea, but is there anything specific about the coffees and teas that you're roasting and producing in-house?
Yeah. So the coffees, really what our special niche is the variety, and that really leads to the flavored coffees. So we do have your traditional breakfast blends, your everyday coffees that you might start out that are not flavored, but what really our fans love and what makes us different is we have over 50 different flavors. So like I said, we have our breakfast blend, of course we have our vanilla, we have our hazelnut, we also have flavors called peanut butter crunch, chocolate caramel truffle, frosted cinnamon buns, so all kind of letting off your favorite treats turned into a flavored coffee. And we also have the different flavors for every season. So those are really where we kind of stand out. It gives retailers something a little bit different. And then in addition to that, we do carry it in lots of different sizes, single serve cups, whole bean, ground. So we try and really have a little bit for every coffee drinker.
That's great. And I bet that also ties into your mission, which you've laid out here, but like, what is the mission and core values that you have?
Yeah, so quality is really our mission. And I guess, that's kind of what company wouldn't say they sell a quality product, but it is like the first and foremost, most important thing for us. And for us, it starts with the quality of the bean. So the best example I can give, so we use specialty grade 1 Arabica beans. Most people don't know there's different grades of beans, but the best example I can say is we use the top 2% of what is grown in the world. So 98% of the coffee beans that are grown, we would not use. They would not be high enough quality for our coffee. So that kind of tells you where it all starts. And that's been, from day one, that's been always something that no matter with price fluctuation in beans that we've not sacrificed. So that's kind of where it starts. And then that quality kind of lends from the beans to the flavoring, to the packaging, to the customer service, to offerings. The website experience needs to be as high quality as the beans. So it all kind of starts there and then trickles down.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think we all share that same view. I'm going to stop sharing now to make this just more conversational between you and I. Obviously, everyone on the call, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. Ian is monitoring that, and we'll go through them if time allows. We also have a Q&A section, so throw your questions in there, and if we have time at the end, we'll definitely get to those. But Erin, coming back to your story, how would you describe your customer base? What's unique about the Door County consumer that might be different from your run-of-the-mill Starbucks consumer?
Sure. So our consumer, kind of going back to those flavors and those fun different options that we have, especially seasonal. The main buyer of our coffee is primarily female. The household decision maker, and the age range does really vary quite a bit. I'd say late 20s on up. But really, it's an audience who goes for all those, the new seasonal flavors, the flavored hard seltzers, the different flavors of M&Ms as you walk through Target. It's all those fun, more experience-based coffees. Granted, it is something you drink every day. But why not have a treat every day, right? So it's more about the experience. It's like you start your day with your favorite cup of coffee, you end your day with a glass of wine. We definitely are a more gourmet coffee where it's more about an experience than just your daily cup.
And do you find that most of your consumers start with, standard coffee and then move to the experimental, or is it vice versa? What do you see as a trend in your customer purchase history?
It kind of varies, actually. I do think that some people are drawn into the flavors, and there's definitely a wide variety of them. And there's some where people aren't going to like them, but then someone else will. And so we sell what are called whole pot bags. It's like a single pot, and you can get a 6-pack of them. And so you can pretty easily try different flavors by just getting those. We do sell the ones that are non-flavored as well. That audience just isn't as large, but it does seem like most of the time you fit into one silo or another, which is why it is important for us to have a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think that's a really great transition here to thinking about, as you think about your consumers who are both your standard coffee drinkers and more the experimental, how did that drive you to launch your subscription program? And did that have an influence when you did launch the program?
Yeah, it really did. Because if you go on our store, you'll see that at least for the coffees that, we do carry some other products that we don't manufacture. And many of those aren't done subscription, but for all the 90% of the coffees that we sell, or all the coffees we sell, 90% of the products, we roast, and those are all available for subscription. And whether it's flavored, non-flavored, whole bean, decaf, single serve cups, bags, there's a lot of different options. So it was really important to us that every unique coffee was available for a subscription on its own. So sometimes you'll see variety packs or certain subscription-based companies that are just strictly subscription-based. They prepackage stuff, but really wanted to get the control in the consumer's end because everyone likes something a little bit different, and we want them to be able to get whatever that is on the cadence they wanted. So it was important to us that we could plug it in right into our product pages and give them the choice of either add to cart one time or add to subscription.
Yeah, that's great. Were there challenges or opportunities you saw, at least right from the jump, as it pertained to the subscription program?
Yeah, so we've been working with you guys now just since last year, but we have had subscriptions for about 7 years now. And getting started, I think obviously technology, it's a tricky technology to integrate in, but most of them are. And so that was for sure one of the challenges, but anyone who is in e-commerce knows we can work through those. I think one of them conceptually was making sure we had the right offer to get people to want to subscribe. So we also run deals almost every month and occasional discounts, whether it's % off, dollar off. And we didn't want people that were part of subscription, we wanted them to feel exclusive and to feel value. And if they're missing out on this 25% off because they just got this subscription order, so we want to make sure that there's good value. So coming up with the right mix for that was definitely something we had to think a lot about.
Yeah. How would you say your subscription program has evolved over the last 7 years, right? If we think back to, I guess, 2014, subscriptions weren't as prevalent as obviously they are today. Yeah. How has the program evolved with the, evolution in consumers' acceptance of subscription?
Yeah. So, obviously the universe has certainly helped as the buzz around it grows. Particularly Amazon and a lot of those big companies that are offering subscriptions. So the concept is not foreign to people. I think we started, we weren't super aggressive with our discount offering, and we didn't provide enough value, I think, at first. Incrementally, as we increased that value, we, of course, saw the orders incrementally grow. Also, something that's really helped us, particularly since we made the change to Ordergroove, was it's really important that customers have the flexibility to make the changes they want on their time, on their end. That's why people shop online, because they can do it from wherever they want and when they want. And it's a very complex technology, and if it's not set up right, it doesn't give them all those options. And that creates not only frustration for them, but then customer service calls for us. So we've been able to retain a lot more customers ongoing since the change to Ordergroove.
Yeah, I'd say something we see across like all of our programs is that ease of management is extremely important, right? It should be easy to find where my subscription is. It should be easy for me to change the date, change my flavor, change my quantity, whatever it might be, as well as add things to that upcoming order. And to your point, like not feel left out because they are your most valuable consumers.
Yeah.
What was your search for a subscription solution like, right? So you transitioned to Ordergroove in Q3 of last year. You were obviously on something before that, maybe two somethings. What was that process like?
Yeah, so our first one was custom built to run a custom platform, and it had kind of been built over the years to work exactly for our use case. So that was okay because we could get it to do whatever we wanted. But then we made the transition in early 2020 to BigCommerce. So really getting into that, the e-commerce space more as from the platform perspective, easier to plug things in. We had a different partner then, and really the biggest thing was customers didn't have the ability to change as many things as they needed, nor could we do as much of that on the back end either. So then began the search to Ordergroove. And it's kind of like there's two buckets, right? Whenever you're looking at these apps, it's like you want it to work well with your platform and your back end, and you want to make sure everything makes sense for how it's going to function, but then you also have the user experience. So they are both super important. You can get something that works really well in the back end, but the user experience isn't there. So I think, when you're searching, first off, you have to make sure it fits within your infrastructure of your platform and all the other apps you're using. But then really consider how's the UX going to be on the other side too. So,
yeah, that's great. Were there specific capabilities or functionalities that you would recommend other merchants focusing on when they look for a subscription provider?
Yeah, I think the functionalities, hands down, again, it's what can they do on their own. Adding items for us was really important because we have that large variety. We really wanted people to be able to add and change things as they needed, change their dates, without having to take a minute and contact us. I'd say from the user side, that's really important. And then also kind of on the user side, and then also, for how it's going to work in your site, I would say, how does it work within your checkout is super important, because for that first initial order, there's a lot of things that need to happen, right, to get the order to shoot into Ordergroove with all the right data. So that would be another important thing to be reviewing. Just ask lots of questions, and then in the end, no, as we all know, with any integration, there's always going to be some surprises, some things that happen, but nothing that you can't work through. So
absolutely. And then how does that pertain with your subscription program's success? Like, what have you seen work over the last, I guess, year, or before that 2 years, and then in the past, 6 months with Ordergroove?
Yeah, so we've been very fortunate. Since we started it, month over month, year over year, we've seen incremental change consistently. The biggest jumps we saw were when we made a change into the value that we were offering. We increased the percentage, and then we lowered our free shipping level, so they don't have to order quite as much to get a different free shipping. So again, the offer is super important. I would say, just giving them the flexibility too is really important. And since we moved to Ordergroove, we did have, during the transition from one provider to another, particularly with subscriptions, it's a very secure and technical process, and we did have a little bit of, we lost a couple in the process, but we have regained that and some really quickly. And I think a big piece of it is because they can do what they want and don't have to cancel. So last month in January was the most revenue we processed through subscription orders to date. So we're seeing some really nice pickup, and especially in a time where 2020 we saw so much growth, and even into early parts of 2021 because of everything that was going on, and everyone being home, all of a sudden drinking their coffee that they used to get in their. I think we're one of the rare people that are in offices at these webinars, but so that obviously helped, but that we're still able to incrementally grow on top of that. I really do give a lot of credit to the ease of use for customers.
Yeah, so where are you focusing your efforts, knowing that, we are starting to go back into the office, consumers are starting to change that behavior from having maybe 2 cups a day at home down to 1. Like, how are you thinking about that as we head into the rest of 2022?
Yeah, it's, that was it's been a bit of a, 2021, the best thing I can say is it's a bit of a roller coaster, because the first, and I think we all know it, it's no secret. The first quarter was still really big because we hadn't fully anniversaried. And then we, in 2020, in quarter 2, our online business saw huge gains because everyone was home. So now it's just been, I think as marketers, we're all a little bit more nimble and able to adjust and just continuing to be in front of them where they are. Granted, no matter where people are, we are a little bit fortunate in the fact that coffee is consumed almost, if you're a coffee drinker, you're going to consume it almost every single day. So hopefully, some of those people that are now going back to the office, they've started this new habit, this new behavior. They'll brew us before they go. They'll bring us with them to brew at the office. But no matter what it is, we're going to have to continue to adjust and be ready for where the consumer is going.
How have you built that into your forecast of subscription growth, right? 2020 was great. 2021, we're going to double. 2022, we're going to double beyond that. But obviously, a lot of the success from 2020 was a little bit false in this regard. Like, how have you tempered expectations internally that, like, hey, this isn't going to be always? Yeah,
so we really have had to not only look back at year over year, look back at year over year over year, if that makes any sense. Just for perspective, 2020, so much growth. 2021 was more like, okay, let's maintain that growth. Let's keep those new customers. As we head into Q2 of this year, I think we're going to be back on that growth trajectory. And with subscriptions, you'd be hard pressed to go on our website, get an email from us, go most places where we are and not see somewhere some mention of the subscription. So we do try and subliminally have it in there as it's like, here's a rewards program, here's our free shipping, here's our subscription. Like, it's one of those things that is always kind of mentioned, so that it stays in front of people.
Yeah, you answered my next question a little bit there, which is like, what strategies and tactics do you use to convert shoppers into subscribers, right? And it sounds like it's hitting them over the head with subscription at all of the touch points that you would, but could you elaborate on any of those points a little bit?
Yeah, so we do, it's always forefront on our website, and then we do take some strategic times in between. So obviously January is a great time. Everyone's got a New Year's resolution. They're going to be organized. They're going to stay on top of things. So that's a time for us to do a lot of promotion around it, where you say, never run out of coffee this year, sign up for a subscription. September, that back to school time period when everyone kind of readjusts into life, that's another opportunity. So trying to hit them at those moments when people are in organized mode. And then just strategically in between other messages. So we've got some pretty standard email messages that go out. So when we're not having a sale or when we're not doing a seasonal launch, we continually are sneaking those in. And we do tend to focus more on our existing customers for promoting subscriptions. I mean, obviously it's always there, but if we were going to email or send an SMS, we focus on people who've already had our brand, because they're most likely to be more loyal and engaged with us at that point.
Do you use subscription messaging in any of like your SEO or Facebook ad, Instagram ads? Like, do you use creative that is tailored specifically to the subscription program?
We are running some right now in our social ads. We did do that. That was part of like our New Year launch, and that is still kind of running right now. We do some mention of that just because it's a timely message right now.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And as you're messaging your customers who might have purchased one time or been a subscriber previously, like, how is that messaging different than someone who's brand new to door counting?
Yeah, so if you're brand new, we have some sort of welcome flow set up, and there's definitely education about the subscription program being an option, but then our existing base, it's more like, you love that, you never want to run out type of thing. I mean, we've all seen the memes, right? There's a lot of memes about my day before I had my coffee, and so, with the existing customers that have experienced us, we can use examples so that they have a more of an attachment and like, don't let it run out sort of notion. And it is, for us starting subscriptions, I mean, it really is a perfect product. I mean, we're fortunate, again, like I said before, even in the pandemic, no matter where people are, they might consume it differently, but they're still going to find a way to have their coffee almost every morning. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm on my second cup today, so yeah. I'm sure you are as well.
Yeah, so it lends itself really well to the replenishment piece.
Absolutely. What do you think 2022 will look like for door counting? Like, what's next?
Yeah. So this last year, Q1 2021, we still were up very large, and we were looking year over year. So right now we're seeing, we're kind of just hitting those numbers from last year, but we do think, especially with the way things seem to be going now, and the fact that we will have officially gotten over the anniversary of the anniversary when Q2 starts, I think things will start to level off a little bit, in the sense we'll have a better understanding of what's going on more day to day than we have in the last 2 years. So that's certainly going to help. And, from a subscription perspective, some of the strategies we're looking forward to this year, because we were new with Ordergroove, I think we really got launched Q3. Didn't do a lot of new crazy things in Q4 because that's kind of off limits. But there's a couple things. Instant upsell is one of them. And so we do have seasonal products that are not available for subscription because they can't always be available on a recurring basis. But we are going to start testing next week with our spring launch, allowing people that have subscriptions to add those seasonal flavors as a one-time instant upsell. So really excited to see how that does. Test it in spring before we get to the busy season. And then another strategy to hopefully grow the subscription base we're hoping to use with the support of Ordergroove's platform is the ability to offer a higher discount on the first purchase during like a promotional time period. So right now it's 15% off, whether it's your first subscription or your 10th order. But we're looking to maybe do something, this week only. All new subscriptions will get 25% off their first order, something of that notion. So those are a couple levers we're hoping to pull this year.
Yep. So for those of you who are not familiar with Ordergroove vernacular, instant upsell, as Erin alluded to, is the ability, once I have a subscription, if I'm logged in and shopping on the site, to add additional items to my upcoming order. You already have my credit card, you already have my shipping address. You're not making me go through checkout to enter that information again. And then in addition, like Erin mentioned, you can also offer an additional discount as a benefit of becoming a subscriber. You get a discount on those one-time items that otherwise you wouldn't have. It sounds like you're thinking about it in exactly the right way, which is like, we have these really cool limited edition coffees and we want to target our subscribers, right? Because we know they're our best customers and we think that we know that they should receive some benefit by joining the program, not just getting their coffee once a month.
Yeah, and it has probably been one of the biggest requests we've gotten because these are our loyal fans. They do like our seasonal coffees, but in the previous systems, we couldn't put candy cane on a subscription because it's only available in the holiday season. But this will allow us to say, on all orders that ship during these few months, you feel free to add your favorite spring coffees, and they can get it in that order and not have to place a full separate order. I mean, I do think, were they placing separate orders that we were getting that we'll lose? Maybe, but will this show them more value in the subscription that will keep their subscription? Yes, absolutely. So, it's always a balance too about what's the user experience, what's going to keep them engaged. So,
yeah, that's great. I am going through a bunch of the comments because there are a lot going on in the chat right now. But one good question that came up is, what other KPIs are you looking at as it pertains to your subscription program? Are you looking at AOV, conversion rate, or just net subscriptions and subscribers each month?
Sure. So obviously the main key one is the volume of revenue that comes through each month. But then obviously, yes, looking at the unique individual subscribers, the total number of items subscribed to. There's a lot of data we can pull right from the Ordergroove database. And those are the metrics that we're tracking. And then also like what percent of our total business is subscription, and hoping that we continually see that grow. The beauty of the subscription is, so our orders process overnight, and before order fulfillment is even up and running, we've already got a nice bunch of orders that come through every day. So obviously this is a service to our customers to help them get their coffee when they want it, but it's also really nice from a business perspective to know that we're leveling off those orders. There's a little bit coming in every day instead of those promotional peaks and valleys. So that's kind of a long answer, but it's like looking at that percentage total business and hoping that continues to grow.
Yeah, that's great. And that's certainly how Ordergroove views, subscription first businesses. Do we see their e-commerce store become, 20 initially, but then 30, 40, 50% of all e-com sales coming from the subscription program? Because it also helps you as a business owner, more easily project revenue and more easily project growth. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then it helps with processes too, as far as those peaks and valleys that might come on like a flash sale, when we're getting some more consistent sales every day, that helps with the production and the fulfillment and all those other departments as well.
Yep, that was going to be my next question. Are you leveraging Ordergroove to help forecast inventory needed on any given week or month?
No, so that is interesting. We are not doing that. We aren't. Obviously, we use NetSuite as our ERP, so a lot of the sales, everything is tying into that corporately to get that projected number, but I can see where once you get, as we grow it and it becomes a bigger chunk of the orders, it's certainly helpful for them to know, like, okay, now every month we're going to have this many units of this particular line that goes out.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question from the audience: do you have any additional loyalty or retention programs beyond the subscription discount?
We do, actually, as of February 1st. So we just launched with Yappo to do rewards and referrals. So that is brand new to us. Just announced it actually to our customers yesterday. So we do think there's going to be a nice tie-in there because for every subscription order that processes through, they are, even though they're not going in and doing anything, they're still going to be earning points on that purchase. So I can't say a whole lot about one or the other, but we do think they're going to work together very well, but that is a brand new thing for us.
Absolutely. And we see it with other merchants, like subscription and loyalty go hand in hand. Your subscribers should be your most loyal customers, and we should be rewarding them beyond just the initial discount. So tying in a loyalty provider like a Yappo to offer additional rewards to those subscribers is definitely, a best in class recommendation.
Yeah.
All right. We have 13 minutes. There's a countdown on my screen left in the webinar. I'm trying to pull out some additional questions from the audience that might be helpful here.
All right.
Yeah, looking through them as well. What was interesting, I mean, are you seeing, and this isn't specific to Ordergroove, but I mean, I think as you're trying to feed top of the funnel, Erin, are you seeing a lot of changes in how you're marketing your product and maybe even the subscription base based on like what you're seeing in Instagram and Facebook and changes in those platforms?
I think the biggest change that the thing with advertising that we've really been working through the last few months, with our agency that does our Google and our Amazon, our Facebook, is really the cost of advertising. Everyone knows the CPCs have gone up quite a bit across the board. So really just strategizing on branded versus non-branded and really breaking down what is obviously we always want to be growing that acquisition, but also need to stay in front of that new customer. So finding the right balance there and the right spend now that there is so much other competition out there in the e-commerce space than there was a year ago, even 2 years ago. So our biggest shifts have really been dialing in even further and just making sure we're doing the right things with our budget.
Absolutely. And then on the flip side of that, from a retention standpoint, how do you think about consumers who maybe cancel because like they got tired of a flavor? How do you encourage the cross-pollination, because you do have 50 plus different flavors of coffee?
Yeah, so many options. Yeah, that's one thing. We are fortunate in that way that if they don't like, we'll get a negative review, for example, about something they don't like, and the response is always, "That's okay. We have a lot of other choices for you to choose from." So just try and make sure we're in front of them with all the different options. We do in our emails, for example. We do use recommendations, so it's going to pull in other options similar to things that they've purchased. So always just staying in front of them with the variety that there is available.
Awesome. I think that leads into another thought that I have, which is like, if you could pinpoint one thing that makes the Door County subscription program stand out, what would it be?
I think it would be, I'm going to go back to the variety again, but because you're able to choose just about any coffee on you're not pigeonholed to, this is our subscription, these are our subscription SKUs. You can choose any of them that you want, especially with our 10-ounce bags, our full pop bags. You could enjoy a different flavor every day if you got a couple different bags in each subscription. So I think it's the variety that it allows you to choose. They're really, with the exception of having some other teas and some gourmet foods that we don't manufacture, any of the coffees are available for subscription. So
awesome. And then I think my final question for you would be, if for everyone listening, if they could try one Door County product, what would you recommend?
Ooh. So I am going, okay, so Our most popular flavor is Highlander Grog. Highlander Grog is a mix of Irish cream and caramel, and that has been, I mean, that was like one of our very first flavors. It was the most popular then, and now 30 years later, it still is the most popular. So if you want to try one, that would be it. But my personal favorite is Door County Cream, and it's just a mix of hazelnut and vanilla. I always say it's one of our more underrated flavors. It doesn't get a lot of love, but I mean, it's been around for a long time, but that's my personal favorite.
Great. That's awesome. Okay, Ian, I think at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you for some key takeaways from our discussion here.
I think like some of what we talked about today is prioritizing partnering with a subscription solution that makes it easy for shoppers to control their own subscriptions. And I think that sounded like that was very important to you, Erin, is just the ability to for the consumer to make those changes on the front end.
Yep.
Drive subscriber acquisition with multiple enrollment touch points, including your homepage and in email footers. And I know that was a lot of the questions we've gotten was just different ways to reach out to gain new subscribers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then in 22, predictable consumer demand will lead to a focus on growth and stability. And I don't know how predictable 2022 will be. If we can all take that away as a key takeaway, I think we'd be happy. But I don't know that it's necessarily the case.
I think it's probably on everybody's wish list at this point. I mean, we're feeling like it's more possible than it was the last 2 years, but time will tell.
Yeah, and I certainly think with this one, honing in on the subscription program and at least being able to have some semblance of predictability when it comes to your program being 10% of total e-commerce sales, 20% of e-commerce sales, and leaning on some of the 2021 data where we did start to go back to our normal lives at one point over the summer. And then unfortunately, we reverted back. I think leaning on that data to help be predictive of 22, knock on wood, we are coming out of the worst of this, should help merchants plan as they head, through into 22 and hopefully into 2023 and beyond.